Hey guys, this is Miss Wendt, and I wanted to give you a couple examples to help you figure out the conservation of mass math problems in your packet. Okay, so the first page we want to look at looks like this. So flip in your packet until you find this page. And these problems might look a little complicated, but they're super easy. What you need to remember is the law of conservation of mass tells us that we cannot gain or lose mass. So whatever we start with has to be the amount that we end with. Okay, so let's take a look at this first problem. If 500 grams of KClO3 decomposes, that means breaks down, and produces 303 grams of KCl, how many grams of O2 are produced? Okay, so it looks like I have 500 grams of this first guy. So I could write 500 here. And I start with that. I know whatever I have on the other side has to equal 500. And there's two pieces here. So one piece plus another piece. So the first piece I got was 303 grams of KCl. So that's this guy here. Now, I know there's some subscripts and coefficients in these numbers, but that doesn't matter for these math problems. We're just looking at the grams. Okay? I know those are some funky looking numbers, but that's okay. So we have 303 grams of the KCl plus we don't know how many grams of oxygen. But if I write it like this, I bet you can figure it out. If we take our 500 grams and subtract the 303 grams of KCl, that's going to tell us how many grams of oxygen we end up with. Okay, so 500 minus 303 equals our answer. And doing a little math, we're going to end up with 197 grams as our answer there. Okay, and that's all there is to it. We just have to make sure that whatever grams we start with in a reaction equals what we end with. And we may have to total some things up if they're in different pieces, but that's not a big deal. Okay, let's look at the next one here. How many grams of H2, so that's this guy here, how many grams of this are needed to react with 100 grams of nitrogen to produce 121 grams of NH3? Okay, so if I rewrite that, it looks like I start with 100 grams of nitrogen plus, I don't know how many grams of hydrogen, but I know that total has to equal 121 grams. Okay, so 100 grams of nitrogen plus an unknown amount of hydrogen has to equal a total of 121. So if I figure that out, 121 minus 100 would give me 21 grams. Okay, so your job is to, when you read the sentence, make sure you're matching up the grams with the right part of the equation. Sometimes you'll end up multiplying, or I'm sorry, not multiplying. Sometimes you'll end up adding, sometimes you'll end up subtracting. So it's real important that you write out your work and show your work so you know what you're doing. Okay. Now, if you flip the page over, there are problems that look a little different, but it's the same idea. You just don't have an equation this time. Okay, so let's try one of these. When 24 grams of magnesium react with 16 grams of oxygen, magnesium oxide was formed. There should be a comma right here, and that will make this sentence make a lot more sense. What mass of magnesium oxide was made? So it looks to me like I have 24 grams of magnesium, and they're going to react with 16 grams of oxygen to make some magnesium oxide. But I don't know how much. Okay, so 24 plus 16 equals how much? Add them together, and I believe 24 plus 16 is going to give me 38, not 38. Miss Went, what are you doing? It's going to give us 40 grams altogether that must have made magnesium oxide. Okay. Question 2, some carbon. So it doesn't tell me how much. So some amount of carbon was reacted with 4 grams of hydrogen to make 16 grams of methane. And you probably don't know the formula for methane, and that's totally cool. I can tell you that the formula is CH4 with a little subscript 4 there. Just like that. Okay, so something plus 4 equals 16. I believe 12 plus 4 equals 16. So my answer here would be 12. Okay, so it's trying to take a sentence. Can you turn it into an equation? And even if you don't know the right symbols all the time, that's okay for this. We're still learning symbols. We're making sure that whatever grams we start with matches up with what we end with. So try those problems out. The answer key will be available for you to check. This is a cool skill. You will have like maybe one test question that kind of looks like this, but it's something that you'll do a lot more in high school chemistry later on. Have fun.